Hello everyone, welcome back to Archangel RC. Today's video will be about a new 6S2P lithium-ion battery pack for the Titan Dynamics Tornado V2 3D printed plane using cells I will recycle from an existing battery. I will be using the AwithZ UF20B spot welder for the battery welding. It turned out to be quite the capable machine. 0.1mm copper with 0.08mm nickel plated steel welds very well and with great consistency. Up until this moment, I've never had the best experience with welders. Years ago, I also got a Sunko that works well, but it is good for very thin nickel only, wouldn't weld even 0.2mm, and it can't really be used on wider packs. I then bought a Malectrix welder as it was twice as cheap as the K-Weld one. That worked well for certain things, but it was not able to do nickel copper sandwich of any thickness. I couldn't get consistent welding results from it, perhaps could have been the 5 LiPo batteries powering it. Can't be sure, perhaps they couldn't supply a high enough current for copper welding. But at some point, when I really needed to do copper on my battery packs, I started soldering because welding was not an option with what I had, and I was not in a position to spend hundreds of dollars on yet another welder, which might or might not work. I soldered battery packs for years, much to the horror of people online, but also I had no issues with those battery packs after years of use, though you do need to get the technique right and do it proper, else it can be dangerous indeed. In the past few years, however, cheap Chinese spot welders have indeed improved and advanced a lot both in capability and quality, while the price has not skyrocketed. Recently I got this unit on sale for about $120. Keep in mind this price includes the shipping and VAT to the European Union. This would be around $100 for countries outside of the EU. It has dual pulse option and 6V supercapacitors, which is key if you want to weld copper of any kind. And for $120, I thought it was a very good deal if it actually could get the job done. Good news is it could. On max settings, it was able to weld 0.2mm copper with 0.1mm pure nickel very well. The problem was, after a couple of test welds, as I was getting ready to start welding a battery pack, a MOSFET blew up and the machine became useless. The seller did send me a replacement board immediately, and that arrived surprisingly quickly. He said this sort of thing is expected in about 5% of cases, so I guess I just got the short straw. But a colleague of mine suggested we also get better MOSFETs while we're at it and bulk up the copper traces on the PCB so we can really get this thing going. But as you can see, this requires a lot of SMD and PCB knowledge and expertise and ability, which I personally, and I would wager most other people, simply do not have. And then came the AwithZ UF20B. At a regular price of around $150 with shipping and tax included to an EU country, it was just a bit more expensive than the exploded unit. It is a bit weaker according to specs as well, but it does come with 6V supercapacitors and the finish and feel of the unit is beyond comparison. This is the slickest and best looking and feeling welder I've ever had, and objectively the second cheapest, and if it can keep working without exploding past the 10th weld, it will be the best one for sure. I did try to weld some 0.2mm copper with 0.1mm pure nickel, but it did not stick down well despite the preheating option and the dual pulse, which is interesting because other people did report under my post on the welder that they are able to weld 0.2mm copper with 0.1mm steel pretty well using the UF20B. Perhaps I should try it with a less conductive material than the pure nickel I have. We'll have to do more tests later on. I did, however, have a roll of 0.1mm nickel-plated copper and pairing it with pieces of 0.0mm nickel-plated steel, which came in the box with the welder, got absolutely perfect welds every time, and that settled it for me. I was going to build a pack and see how this machine fares with more than 1 or 2 test welds at once. It just so happened that I was looking to build a 6S2P lithium-ion battery pack for my recently 3D printed Titan Dynamics Tornado V2, and I had an older 3S6P Samsung 50G battery pack, which I wasn't using anymore and had seen very little use anyway, so I thought I'd disassemble that one and reuse some of the cells. I did some cycle testing of the battery pack on the charger beforehand. One of the cells was performing worse than the other two, so during the disassembly I marked the weaker one with X on the cells. The other two I marked with 1 and 2 so I can keep track of the good cells. For the new battery pack, my logic was that I had to arrange the cells so that every parallel has a 1 and a 2. In my head I felt like that would preserve the capacity variance between the cells, and later capacity testing confirmed that it was indeed so. Removing the old spot welds, which were done with the Malectrix welder, was a complete pain and by far the most tedious part of this build. But it got done eventually without any major shorts during the process. The way I had the cells glued to each other pretty much removes any chance of reusing the heat shrink wrappings, as I had to cut them out of there. I then proceeded to check the cells' voltages. Good news is all were pretty much identical. Next, I got to cleaning what remained of the welds. I used a cutting wheel on my Dremel and just gently moved the cell around under it until I deem it clean enough. I did not check internal resistances because it makes no difference in this situation. The cells have been together for a few years now, I have no spares, so no point. Besides, they have performed well until now. I see no reason they would not do so from now on. Once all were done, I put a fish paper ring on top of the positive of each one and slid on a new heat shrink tube. After heat wrapping the cells, I added another ring on top for good measure and added safety on the plus side. You can never be too careful here. Once this was done, I arranged the cells in the required order, pressed them on the sides with heavy stuff, and started the gluing process. I use Henkel Moment Classic for this, and yes, it is slower than hot glue but lighter, and does provide a very strong bond that is also a bit flexible if needed, so chances of this failing from vibrations are non-existent. Also, no chance of these vibrating against each other and rubbing through the wrappings to cause shorts, hence why I haven't put any additional insulation between the serial cells. Once the glue dries on one side, I flip them over and repeat the process on the other. After that, I stack them how I want, check everything is aligned right, and add more glue, set one on top of the other and wait for that also to set, and at the end the pack is solid like a brick even before the wrapping. This is where the UF20B finally comes into the process. Everything about this unit feels pretty high quality. The welding pens connect to it via huge connectors, so they will probably not be a limiting factor in how much current can flow to the weld spots. One of the pens also has a trigger button on it, so be careful while wrestling with them before the weld. I did manage to press it by accident a few times before having pressed down hard enough, and it does spark a lot in those situations. I did have the pedal connected and I used that for the whole pack as I find it more convenient. Since the 0.2mm copper I have is on a roll with a width of about 16mm, I welded the serial connection separately and then welded a second layer on top for the parallel link, plus left a bit to hang on the side, which is where the balance cable would connect to so it doesn't wrap around the top or bottom of the pack, making it even wider. The welding actually went pretty good. I was really happy with the consistency of the welds. The power supply certainly seems to be powerful enough to be able to recharge the capacitors between welds. I did take my time pausing every couple of welds because the cables and welding pens were getting hotter, and when they get hot they conduct less current and the welds also get worse, so I took my time. By the end, the welder was showing a temperature of about 55 degrees, though it does not have a fan, unlike the larger P90C model, which I borrowed from a colleague to use on another pack, but more on that in a separate video. Perhaps I might be able to add a fan to the back, as it looks to have a convenient spot to hold one. Also, figuring out a way to cool down the cables and pens more effectively than dipping the tips in alcohol between welds would improve the welding speed for sure. Let me know in the comments below if you have any experience or suggestions with this. I would very much like to hear it. I wasn't too bothered with the speed of this though, because I'm not making batteries every day, so I don't mind if it takes a bit longer, so long as the welds are good and consistent, and they absolutely were. In any case, soldering goes much slower than this. This whole pack was welded in gear 80, preheating of 10 milliseconds. I still don't know what that does exactly, but that is what I had it at. A single pulse, as far as I understand it, and 3 milliseconds pause between the twin pulse, but I'm not sure if I used the twin pulse function at this time. The menu and settings are a bit confusing in some regard, and there is no adequate explanation in the user manual, so if anyone has puzzled this out and knows what exactly each setting does, please also let me know. Regardless, I was pretty happy with the results, making sure to insulate every completed connection so I don't get zapped when the voltage starts going up as I complete more and more serial connections. Measuring the voltage at the end revealed that all the connections are good and voltage is what it should be, so I was ready to move on with the wiring. Before that, I put dual layers of Kapton tape on the side of the cells under where the copper tabs would be bent down. This is for additional temperature protection just in case. Kapton tape has saved me before, so I use it as much as I can. I then bent down the copper tabs, put some flux on there and tinned them. I needed to use flux additional to that in the tin because the copper is nickel plated and it doesn't quite willingly hold to the solder. I then put a piece of heat shrink along the sides of the pack to hold it there and provide an additional layer under the copper tabs. Next, I soldered the mid-balance wires. I then prepared the power leads with a connector, added additional 2 layers of Kapton tape under where I would be soldering those on so I don't melt the heat shrink, soldered the power leads on and finished the balance cable plus and minus as well. Then a lot more Kapton tape was added, at least 2 layers all around the battery pack where it didn't already have it. That was followed by another heat shrink wrapping from top to bottom this time, which would allow the cables to come out of the open side. Since I will be placing the battery lying down on one side in the plane, the cables are fine coming out of what would be the top side essentially. Final step is to write down the cell make and model of the battery configuration so I can keep track of it. I then cycle tested it. When discharged down to 2.65 volt per cell, the balance kinda gets away from it at the very low end. But I'm pretty happy with what can be drawn out of these old cells, and I feel like it should work very well as a first proper lithium-ion battery for the Tornado V2, at least until I'm able to get some of those new 6500 52 amp discharge cells and build another, more capable battery pack. As for the AwithZ UF20B, like already said, I am absolutely impressed by the unit, and if it is any indication of their other models, I would be pretty confident shelling out for one of the larger ones as well. It worked perfectly and I'm very happy with the results. I was actually very pleasantly surprised that the welding pens were not sticking down to the nickel plated steel and the welding process was not eating them up, which is definitely a first. I will still try to get 0.2mm copper with something working on this one, so stay tuned for that update. Do subscribe if you haven't already and hit the bell so you don't miss the video notification. Do check out the link to the UF20B in the video description below, like the video if you liked the video, and let me hear what you think about this and what your experience has been. A huge thank you to all my YouTube members, Patreon supporters, and anyone who has and still is supporting this channel in any way. Happy welding, and I will see you in the next one.